So now that you understand the source of all information and how it relates to reality and its purpose, we are going to now get into creation. And for this, we are going to go into the darkness of the void of nothing. In this place, there is no time, there is no distance, there is no sense of volume, there is no sense of motion as you know it. If every bit of information were to be lit, it would look like this. Endless, bright light. Every single source is lit up. And if you could see with eyes, you'd be blinded by the light. So now consciousness must experience itself within this by creating contrast. Think of information that is not needed to be seen switched off. You are left with only the information needed to have your experience. Just like in computer language, where there is a 1 and zeros indicating an on and off, we can compare it to how reality can create virtually an environment by only displaying the signals or code needed for any particular information on and off. An accumulated number of information will present to you the environment and the experience of motion and time. Every single possible experience is being played out all at the same time because there is no time here. From the beginning to the end, your entire experience of life has already been coded and played out. The blueprints have already been presented. You are now traveling through that information in order to experience the experience that was meant for you. Now from here, I'm just going to present to you this ancient symbol. This is called the seed of life, and it was created by masters of geometry a long time ago. Within this seed of life has the secret to all beginnings. Look at the pattern closely and compare it to the many things that you can look at and observe in your world. We are going to create a circle. Now, this circle, it's a force of energy. It's a force of information, and it's three-dimensional. For the moment, this is all still virtual. It does not exist. But within this circle, we are going to create another circle from its center, the exact same diameter as the first one. When you combine the two, the shape that you get in the middle is called a Vesica Piscis. This is the beginning of creation. The transfer of energy between those two will create all things in existence. And as you can see, it begins to form a shape that we might be familiar with. Let's continue adding more circles around. Considering that this is still a three-dimensional space that we're filling in, we can then see more in this image and relate to it what we have in our universe. Does this not look like the birth of a human within the womb of its parent? This is the creation of life. This is the seed of life. And as you can see, it's already starting to form the very fundamentals of our own human existence. We are going to now expand this image. And this image is called the flower of life. This holds the secret to the entire reality of your existence. As this symbol moves in motion and plays a dance, it creates all things. You will see this throughout history. and many books and many symbols being the secret to reality, being the secret given by God, given by the essence of the universe. Mathematics is the universal language of everything. This symbol holds within it every single mathematical equation in existence. It is the foundation unto which any mathematical equation can exist. This, as a virtual, imaginary space, comes before math. The moment it becomes reality, mathematics kicks in. The idea of motion, calculation, adding, movement, all this is the reality that comes into existence from this form. So as we look at it still from an imaginary point of view, it's part of the blueprint to all existence. Each point can be an area to which displays information to which we can all recognize. For example, we can see shapes like cubes, stars, crystals. They're only sending out information in which needs to be sent out. Just like music, playing a song. As they move in motion, they are both within each other's space and expanding and contracting, whichever it is that their purpose is, causes waveforms that we can recognize. The forces that are moving follow guidelines. We have a source of information that is rising up, coming down within itself, underneath, and then rising up again. And it's a continuous flow this way. And I know you've seen this in your experience already. The entire universe is created of certain elements. We have discovered them and numbered them in the periodic table. Within all these elements, the entire universe is created. The dance and play of those elements is what creates absolutely everything that we know. So you see, the source of information doesn't have to create every single thing from scratch. It only needs to create certain elements that are at play with one another, thus creating the reality that which you exist, that create photons, atoms, electrons, that create the trees, that create the air, that create the space, that creates the cells, that create absolutely everything. And everything is in motion in a dance, which is beautiful. It's not random stuff. To say that creation is just random means that everything within, that's moving within the creation, would also have to be random, and it's not. If the universe was random, everything would be in chaos. You wouldn't be able to have structure. The existence of human life here on this planet never has been a coincidence. The idea that on Earth was just lucky to have all the right elements to create life is not true. Because the dance and information of all those elements move in such a way where, although the elements are there, they are not spread out and chaotic. They form every single human life. They form the brain and the mind to which all these things are active. Every cell has a consciousness. And everything works in coordination with each other. in a very logical, well thought out plan from the Creator to experience all of this. But it's not random. Random cannot create not only the human body, but it cannot create the thinking mind. And the mind that works within the vessel of the body to move around in its environment, to interact with other things that are created the same way. See, none of it's random. And none of it can be considered lucky. And that is hard for some people to understand. That everything in existence is there for a purpose. And it has a purpose, and it's doing something that is somewhat controlled by the source of information, experiencing life through your experience. And your consciousness that you have is only being limited to what it can observe. Without the 5 senses, or 6 senses, you cannot observe anything in your reality. If you had more senses, which there's nothing to say that more senses can't be created. If the source wanted it, you would have more senses. And within all the senses you would have, you'd be able to experience more of the reality that you exist in. So you see, with just your 5 senses, you're only able to experience the periodic table, experience shapes and forms and color, sounds, all these waves of information. And what feels like a solid is not really a solid. And what feels like a wave is not really a wave. And in the future, you will find, science will find, that even the waves themselves are non-existent. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed what I have presented to you. I will continue my presentation next as I explain experience.